I'm just gonna run through it quickly, and stop me if you have questions or if you had some big roadblocks with getting Ionic set up with all its pieces and parts. Yeah, that. In fact, if I can get an indication, how far did you all get with these steps here?
I have all the pieces, I think.
Good. Anyone that hasn't gotten it done yet? I mean, that's fine. We'll get her.
Installing Android Studio.
Yeah, I don't think I have an Android Studio either.
Yeah. Okay. We're actually not going to use that today.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
we'll get to that in the coming weeks, but that's part of the setup for getting your apps compiled and submitted and fully built out for the device. All right, let's see. So yeah, Node. These were the versions like a week ago, and they change every week or two. But that's we'll be just working on some of the latest. And I think why we've got 8x for Node instead of 10x is there. I think for some compatibilities with Ionic. But I've never seen hiccups. I've bounced around different versions as I've done tutorials and haven't seen issues. So not too important for the things we'll be doing. And then Git. I think it sounds like you're mostly all familiar with Git as a tool for. Do you all use it in your work? All right, that's great. That's great. And then GitHub Desktop. What tools are you guys all command line for Git? Most people are.
I use SourceTree.
SourceTree is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that one is even more popular than GitHub Desktop from what I've heard. But yeah, we'll probably be using command line, and I don't know. We'll probably see all three of them as we go along here. For the simple things, the desktop is an easy way to version your code, step through, manage your branches. All right, VS Code. Just covered that for in case people haven't done much with developing. Wanted to point them in a direction of a free VS Code editor, and because I know me and Brett, both with our jobs, we use IntelliJ. Our work pays for licenses for NetBrains IDEs. So, but VS Code, great. Let me see. Those of you that work in Ionic, which editors do you use?
It's Visual Studio, but they don't really care.
Yeah.
I just use WebStorm.
WebStorm. Yeah. Good. All right. And Ionic. You see 4.1.2 again, like a week ago. That was the version. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another version. And there's some parts later that we're going to be jumping around and jumping into the Ionic docs to show, like especially when we get into components, just so that everyone's familiar with their great docs. Now, 4x, version 4 of Ionic, still in beta, and the docs are still in beta. So you'll see a lot of holes in there and stuff, but it's coming along and making regular progress, and it's the place to go for just grab the code samples out of there, put them in as you lay out your app, and they make it really easy. See, all right, yeah. Xcode. If you're on a Macintosh, you see we have one. All right, so yeah, that's. The nice thing about a Mac is that you can build out both Android and the iOS apps. But let's see, it's been a while since I've worked with the Android tools, but like I said, in coming weeks, yeah, little chair, bed. So yeah, Xcode for the Mac, and there's another slide here, Android Studio for both Mac and Windows. Just one quick note about that. Those of you that use Ionic probably already know this. You need a Macintosh to compile and build out an app for the iOS. And there's another option, and that is Ionic Pro. You can upload your code, and I've never done that, and I don't know if we'll get to that in this 6-week workshop, but that's an option. Just know about that. When you're on Windows, that you can fully compile and sign and submit to the Google Play Store, but you'll need a Macintosh to a Mac to submit to the Apple Store. Any questions about the process of getting these tools up and going so far? The Xcode, they both of them. Both Xcode has these other tools that you install. These are Ionic tools. Well, they're iOS simulator and deployment tools. And then also when you run this right here in the middle, it says run Xcode and install additional tools when prompted. You'll see that when the first time you run Xcode, it'll pop up and say, there's some other tools, command line tools, do you want to install them? And you just say yes. And then both of them, again, we'll get into App Store submission later, but either way, you need to set up an account with Apple, in this case, in Xcode, and with Google for the Play Store. And we'll cover that in detail another week. All right, and then Hello World. How many of you got a Hello World running in your browser? Yeah. Okay, so it's really simple. This is Brett's laptop. I told a couple of you here already, my laptop died this morning, and I was going to flip over to the terminal, run the Ionic start command and do all this. And with the new version, it's framework agnostic with Ionic 4, and so you tell it you want the Angular type, so it includes all the build files and all the basic structure for you with the Angular flavor of an Ionic app. I was going to do all that, and I don't want to do that on Brett's machine here. So, any questions about getting that up and running, the Ionic, the first app?
So when I ran the Ionic Start Hello World, it asked if I wanted Cordova as a targeting platform. What is Cordova doing?
Yeah. Cordova is a layer that lets you access the native features of the device.
Okay.
It's the bridge.
Okay.
To get you native-like access. Geolocation, camera, contact list, calendar.
So I should have said yes, is what you're saying.
For the first,
it's Hello World. Right?
For the first couple weeks, no.
Okay.
And you can add it later. It's easy to add, so you don't have to do that when you're setting it up.
And do I want to install the free Ionic Pro SDK? And that's the one that would.
Well, that's got a lot of functions and features. You can say no for now.
Okay.
And for Ionic Pro, but we'll cover Ionic Pro in the future too. They have a whole bunch of services that add a lot of value to the development process. And if you're doing this for a living, then it quickly pays for itself. Let's see. All right. So once you run that and you answer those questions, you go into the directory cd hello world and you type Ionic serve, and it does the Angular compile full build. So the first time, it'll take, depending on the speed of your laptop, 10 to 60 seconds, and then it'll pop up the browser and run your application. And then let me see. There's a few tips and tricks that we'll talk about later, but you'll want to go if you're in Chrome you I'm saying to think in developer mode. When you right click on your browser, inspect. That's the command that it says. Yeah. So I've got the hotkeys memorized, so I just boom. And you take it in there, and then there's a little mobile icon that you click on. And then there's a menu that lets you pick the device, like an iPhone 8 or a Pixel 2 or something. So you can do that, and it'll size it to that. And then you have to reload the page because it'll render it differently on iOS versus Android, and then of course different screen sizes. That's a big part of the beauty of Ionic is all the responsiveness that's built into the different resolutions.
What does the tabs do? What does that mean?
Yes. So tabs, that's a starter project. They have.
That's the name, right? Of
It's the name of. It means start me an application with 3 tabs.
Oh.
It's a starter project. So it pulls down their tabs project, but it creates it called Hello World.
All right. And if you don't specify the type, like Angular, I noticed. I mean, if you go to the website, it doesn't say that. So the default, what would it be? Is it? I thought it was Angular, but it isn't.
I'm not sure where they are in the transition. It's transitioning right now from Angular being the default in version 3 to I think web components are going to be the default for Ionic 4. But we'll find out as we go forward in that. That just makes sure that and the way we're going to cover it in this workshop is Angular based. Because we have to focus somewhat. Web components are great, and I'm looking forward to working in that environment. But yeah, type equals Angular. And if you don't have the latest Ionic tools, like if you have a 3x version, then you don't have to put that because Angular is the default. Yeah.
Can you go to the previous page?
Yeah.
I was trying to install Ionic and I think I took the command wrong.
Okay. So npm install -g Ionic. Yeah. Yeah, and that'll take a few minutes to run that. But yeah, once that's there, then you run this, and it does a whole bunch of things when you do this Ionic start command. Not only does it create the project, but it does the npm install. It pulls down the dependencies, and so go into the directory and serve, and yeah, that gets you up and running. So for this to be a good workshop or meetup, we want to make sure if you have questions to ask them, like you have done. That's good, because if you sit there and you're afraid to ask because you don't want anybody to think, you're worried about what someone's thinking, it's not going to be very valuable to you. So make sure you do keep asking. Yes.
Go to the previous page. I'm just typing the command here.
Yeah.
Because it's taking time to install.
Yeah, and these slides I linked in the message that I sent out, so you can get them all there. And if you go to Ionic, in fact, I can do that. I was a little bit worried to jump around on your computer here, but Ionic documentation. If you go there, and I will zoom. Let's see. If you mind if I do that. The setup. Wow. Just gonna do that to get started here. All right, so Ionic 4. Let's switch to the Ionic 4 docs. Installation. Is that the getting started? Let's see. Environment setup. Android.
Part of that CLI installation thing.
Yeah. Let me zoom in again. Hold on. All right. And let me know if if you ever
So-
need us to zoom, if I forget to zoom in.
So that's essentially the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Ionic ducks, you can always get it if you go out there and you go to the, make sure you're in the beta mode, because we're going to be focusing on version 4. So you might have to switch like I did, and then installation, CLI installation, and see it's got the same kind of instructions right there. Start my app is what they called their app, and then they change directory into my app. I just copied their examples there, but yeah, it's that simple.